Public Policy Foundation, Jason Isaac. Jason, great to see you. Thank you for being here. It's hard to underestimate the damage that this ruling, if it passes, that this ruling would do to the United States. I mean, this is, just to put it in more perspective, 5 million of the nation's daily output of 11.6 billion barrels of oil come from this basin. I mean, this could really cripple the American economy, couldn't it?
Absolutely. The Permian Basin is producing the energy that is being exported around the world, lifting millions out of poverty. And we produce that energy more responsibly than anywhere on the face of the earth. But the EPA wants to really prop up Russia and OPEC Plus and Saudi Arabia and China and Venezuela to the detriment of American energy producers and the American families. They're feeling the pump now. They're feeling the pain at the pump now, and especially in the cost of electricity up just tremendously throughout the country because of this current administration attacks on American energy producers.
Now, just to get into a little bit of detail here, what's happening, the EPA would label parts of the basin as, quote, non-attainment. That's a bureaucratic phrase. You know how bureaucrats are with their phrases. Non-attainment of its ozone standards. So the EPA came out with all these ozone standards, and they're claiming that parts of the way that the oil is drilled in the basin is violating their ozone standards. Why are they just doing it now if these standards have been in existence for a while?
Well, they got their hands slapped last week by the Supreme Court, saying that they lack clear direction from Congress to implement regulations on greenhouse gas emissions from Congress. And so what they're doing is now they're going to go after the 6 criteria pollutants that they do under the Clean Air Act have the authority to regulate, although this would absolutely lead to no improvement in human health or improve the air quality whatsoever. We're already world leaders in air quality in this country, and the COVID shutdowns proved that by taking 40 to 50% of the vehicles off the road and seeing no improvements in air quality around the country. So they're just attacking American energy producers, again, to the benefit of our foreign adversaries.
Yeah, by the way, we're going back to coal as a result of their attacks on natural gas, and that's creating more pollution problems. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to put a face to a name, because so often these decisions are made by faceless bureaucrats at various agencies. Joe Goffman is the head of the EPA's office that is in charge of this new ruling. He was one of the chief architect of President Obama's Clean Power Plan, which is a thing that you mentioned was just knocked down by the Supreme Court. So could it be that the same reasons they had to go after West Virginia versus EPA apply here? That is, could the Supreme Court stop them from doing the damage?
Absolutely, the Supreme Court could stop them, and they could have last week, but they didn't. But you're going to continue to see this from the fourth branch of government, the deep state, this bureaucratic level of people that you and I never voted for. We elect people to represent us and service in Congress, service in the executive branch, and now it's the judicial branch that's having to slap their hands because it's people that are unelected that are driving up the cost of everything that we do. Even Steve Forbes wrote about this today in Fox Business, talking about you've got Democrats and Republicans working together to implement this border adjustment fee, which is essentially another carbon tax, which will do nothing to improve the environmental quality, nothing to mitigate any changing of the climate, but it will increase the cost of every single thing that we do.
The cost, and not just the monetary cost, but again, we were talking about it before, the cost in terms of clean air. I mean, the natural gas that we've been using, a lot of which has been cut off or at least delayed now in drilling because of these new environmental regs from the Biden administration, that has forced companies to go back to coal. Of course, the Europeans now are opening some old coal plants as well. So the air, in order to fulfill the green energy dream, the air is actually getting dirtier. I mean, it makes no sense at all.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Just ask Boris Johnson, who's embraced this net zero, which does nothing to mitigate changing climate. You've got the Chinese that are propping up and building more coal-fired power plants. Just 2 weeks ago, I was with several members of Congress, and I told them of all the technology the Chinese steal from us, it'd be nice if they'd utilize our pollution control technology, but they don't. We're world leaders in clean air, and we burn coal. We use baghouses and scrubbers to capture all the bad stuff. The only thing that comes out is CO2, which is necessary for life on Earth. The last last thing that we want to do is tax life on Earth, but the left thinks that we're the problem. They want to get rid of humans, and that's why they're trying everything they can to regulate CO2, because it's necessary for life on Earth and abundant life.
Final question. I'm getting a wrap, but CO2 was designated I think it was during the Obama administration, as a pollutant, even though it is a naturally occurring gas in the world ecological economy, if you will. So is there any way that can be changed, maybe with a different administration in Washington, that finally can be addressed, the fact that CO2 is not necessarily a pollutant? Because if it's designated as a pollutant, hell, they could outlaw cows.
Or us. I mean, you think about it. Everything that we do, we're utilizing and producing CO2. It's necessary for life on Earth. We definitely need a new Congress with bold leadership to step back and to push for American energy dominance. We've reduced harmful pollution 78% over the last 5 decades. We're number one when it comes to clean access to clean and safe drinking water. And these policies that drive up the cost of energy hurt women the most around the world. Extreme poverty could be completely eliminated with access to energy. And I say let's use American energy because we produce it more responsibly than anywhere else in the face of the earth. We
sure do. I've seen the drilling they do in Venezuela. It ain't pretty. Jason Isaac, good to see you. Thank you very much for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Crises